Welcome to X Marks the Spot. This is a show that talks about the most iconic decade ever. Your host Breeze Aubrey and Devon Moore talk about what it is like to be the Generation X kids living in today's society. Join them as they talk about the hair, music, and the freedom that they loved back then.
Now, do you know who Michael Dukakis' running mate? This is like trivia question too.
Yeah. And we know how you love trivia.
Yeah.
So do I. I just can't do sports trivia.
Sports or anything historical.
You're not?
No, I'm horrible at history.
Oh,
Michael Dukakis' running mate was Lloyd Benstein. I'm hoping I said it.
Benstein.
Yeah. The electoral vote for Republicans was 426. Democrats was 111.
How times have changed.
All right. And the next election took place, and this is where I got to vote. November 3rd, 1992. Do you know who the running mates were? And who was running?
I don't know. I'm kind of a political junkie, but not that one. But I just can't think who that guy was that was sitting on that lady's lap. Yeah, I'll think about it later.
I want to look that up because I'm not sure who that is either. So the Democrats were running was Bill Clinton himself. You know who his running mate was.
Of course, because
he's from our state, Mr. Al Gore.
No, what was it? He's from Carthage. Yeah, he's also from Carthage, Tennessee, as well. So don't forget that. Got to tell where he comes from.
Okay, and Republican running was George H.W. Bush.
George H.W. Bush, and...
Hold on, I didn't even write down who his running mate was. How did I miss
George
that?
H.?
I know he was an independent. Dan Quayle. Okay. Yeah, Dan Quayle. I forgot to write that down, but yeah. The electoral vote, Democrats were 370 to the Republicans 168.
Wow.
Yeah. And he did not have relations with that woman. And he didn't inhale. And he smoked big fat cigars.
Well, let's don't go down that conspiracy theorist road, because we all know that if we go too far down that, then we won't be talking about
the conspiracy theory.
X marks the spot. We'll be talking about X marks the ex-presidents and all that kind of stuff.
Now, we're getting into the 90s, more in the 90s here. There's another election was held November 5th, 1996. And this was, again, Bill Clinton and Al Gore. And do you know who the Republican was?
Wait a minute. I'm trying. Give me a break.
You're singing Norm.
Yeah, I know.
Norm did almost Saturday Night Live.
I know his name. I can
Bob Dole.
Bob Dole tells you when Bob Dole tells you this, you're gonna listen to Bob Dole and Bob Dole.
But yeah, the electoral vote on that was 379 to the Democrats and 19 to the Republicans. Okay. Bob Dole's running mate. I don't even remember any of this. Jack Kemp,
yeah. I remember.
Did I vote for that year? I don't know. I might have wrote in somebody, because after Bill Clinton, I was like, I don't know. And then the last one of the electoral is they turned 18 in 1998.
Oh, wow.
And they voted in 2000.
They voted in 19...
Isn't that crazy? That's crazy to think that. So, yeah, the last of Gen Xers voted in 2000. And George W. Bush ran with Dick Cheney. And Al Gore ran with Joe Lieberman. And he actually won that election because of the popular vote. But since we're such dumbasses and not get rid of the Electoral College, he won. Yeah, so, electoral votes were Republican at 271 and Democrats at 266.
Yeah.
So it was I just thought that was kind of a cool little breakdown.
Yes.
Have a little refresher of.
And I think most of our viewers are very proud that you brought that up because.
I think it's cool.
Well, and plus the fact a lot of Gen Zs and a lot of millennials don't understand that there was, and still is. So. And
you see how flippity floppity these parties are now, and like I said, I'm not into political science or anything, and I don't. But it's as a person looking on the outside that does vote, it's wow how the Republicans and Democrats flippy flop on their views.
Right.
But I also wanted to, after doing all this little research, I kind of went down a little rabbit hole and found out about micro generations. Okay. So everyone is aware of Xennials. Xennials are in that little bit of Gen X. Their years are, let's see, I want to say, is it 1981 to 1995? Is that right, Xennials? I'm trying to write I'm looking at my notes, and I'm like, I don't know if that's right. So let me double check. But yeah, Xennials are part of a little micro generation. They're not really Xennials. They're not really millennials. Are not really Gen X.
Right.
1977 through 83. That's when it is. Okay. Millennials are from 1981 to 95.
Okay.
So you have this little. Well, did you know? Did you know there is another micro generation, the Boomers?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
This is new to me.
Okay, this generation, and it makes sense because it's like the tail end of the 1950s. We're finally getting out of that Beaver Cleaver, June Pearls.
The nuclear family. Bob Dobbs and Susie Homemaker, which we have run with.
Women are burning bras.
70 years.
Men's hair, they're like, oh, you're gonna suspend me from school because of my hair touching my collar. Well, you're not hip, man. But that generation is from 1958. 1967. So these are like the liberators, the tail end of the hippies.
Okay.
Their generation is called Generation Jones.
Generation Jones.
And do you know why they're called Generation Jones?
I don't.
Just
please tell me.
Kind of think of with the Jones. You know that term, keeping up with
the Joneses. Yeah.
That's what it. Because they were that tail end of the boomers that were like, hey, we don't want to be like that younger crowd of boomers. We're going to be liberators. We're going to be the hippies. We're going to turn things, and we're going to, but we're going to make money, and we're going to, oh, that person's got nice stuff. I want nice stuff too. And so that's how
is it safe to say that they're the first of the hipsters, I think?
They're not hipsters. That would be considered what is it?
2000?
No.
Or 90s, something like that?
No. They would probably, what is the term? Yuppies.
Yuppies, okay.
They're the first yuppies.
Okay.
I don't know why that thing escaped me, but yeah, they would be the Yuppies. They be the Yuppies, because hey, they got a bigger boat. I have to have a bigger boat. So yeah, I had some interesting stuff that I found out.
Well, I didn't know that Jones. That was interesting, and that's very good.
I'm
glad you got
dive in there.
Well, I'm glad you did a little bit of good digging journalistic integrity to yourself, because that's great.
Yeah.
So I did not know about that.
Never knew that either.
Okay, now we're getting off from politics to art. Now, guess what, kiddies? We're going to be talking about my favorite artist. And if anybody's been over to my house, you've seen his paintings all on my wall. And that is Mr. Patrick Nagel. He was born in November 25th, 1945, and he died November 4th, 1984. He was an American artist and illustrator. He created popular illustrations on board, paper, and canvas, much of which emphasizes the female form in a distinctive style descending from Art Deco, and we will cover that pretty soon, Art Deco and pop art. He is best known for his illustration for Playboy magazine and the rock group Duran Duran, for whom his design cover of the best-selling album Rio, which has been acclaimed to be as one of the greatest album covers of all time.
Have the right, so I'll hum it.
Yeah. Her name is Rio, and she dances on the sand. Just like that river floating through the dusty sand.
Or whatever the words are.
But we don't have them here, buddy. I know them by heart, and I was never a big Duran Duran fan.
I love Duran Duran.
At the time.
I had a poster in my bedroom when I was probably 13, 14 years old. They were my boy band at the time.
Yeah, but at least they could play their instruments, man.
They wore their makeup better than I did, for sure.
Oh, really? Damn.
They wore makeup.
I didn't know that. Jeez. Wow. Okay. Now, I want to discuss something else that I had mentioned, which is Art Deco. And a lot of you are asking, what is Art Deco, Breeze? And I said, well, I'm going to tell you. It's the characteristic features of Art Deco reflect admiration for the modernicity of the machine and for the inherent design qualities of machine-made objects. Art Deco fell out of favor in 1939 with the start of World War II and the emergence of modernism. So, yes, that's what Art Deco is. So he used a lot of things in order to make his paintings, and not just the ones that he did with Duran Duran, but there are other ones. I have 3 of them. Actually, I have 3 and I have a couple of mini of them. But I want to stress to all of you how much of a fucking genius this guy was. He did not, because I know a lot of you Gen Zs and millennials are very sensitive and you're very feminist, but this man was a fucking genius, and he didn't depict women in disgusting little poses and shit. Like, it was more cartoonish.
Very tasteful. It's very tasteful.
I mean, I know Deb's probably.
It was very the way, as an artist, he was a very minimalist, but I don't know how to describe it. It was minimal, but it was a lot at the same time. It was very airy. A lot of his art seemed airy to me. Just very simple lines. It reminds me a lot of the Japanese artwork somewhat, where it's very thin penciled line and not a lot of detail in the facial structures. Basically just real simple little lines. But yeah, his art is beautiful. I've actually done some type of art in his style.
Art Deco?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done things like that in painting.
Thanks for watching X Marks the Spot. a show that shines the light on the generation that no one talks about. Your host, Breeze Aubrey, and Devon Moore have more stuff to talk about in their podcast. And maybe you might get a chance to be on the show if you are a Generation Xer. So come on back to a show where MTV is still king, big hair is still wild, and the party never ends.